Good morning, guys. The slow season has definitely started to come upon us at this point. I am so grateful to have a little bit more time in the mornings up at the house to eat my breakfast before I get out to do my chores. It's so nice to have more time with the kids, to have more time to sit down and really focus on homeschooling, to just do all of those tasks that need to get done in the house. That's what's going to be happening during this season. We're going to really be focusing on all of those things that have been neglected during the super busy season, but I'm not going to let myself forget about the garden and all of the other stuff that I need to be looking at and thinking about. But it's very, very easy in the slow season to just say, gosh, I'm just going to take a break. I've worked super, super hard all season. It's really easy to kind of forget about the things that we have to do when we are in that slower time. It's easy to let things slide by. The next thing you know, you look up and you think, oh my gosh, I'm a month late planting my garlic. I'm a month late for my onions. I completely forgot about that bed of beets down there that needed to be harvested, and now they're all hard and woody and you can't use them. So don't forget about the things that you need to be doing now. And of course, there's tons of distractions in the world. You have, the biggest news on Fox News right now is that there is a new pronoun policy. There is also, the governor of Massachusetts is all up in arms because they can't take in any more migrants, although they're super pro-immigration there. Nobody's talking about Ukraine and Russia anymore. I find that quite amazing. So, anyways, don't let all of this fluff get you distracted. Don't let that be the biggest concern of your day or the biggest topic of your day. Really stay focused on what's going to be most important for your family. One thing I think that we all really need to be aware of right now is the jobless claims. So this past week, the new jobless claims for the week, meaning the new people that are claiming unemployment, is at 217,000. And everybody's all excited because that's down 3,000 from last week. I mean, never mind that we have over 800,000 people claiming new unemployment claims every month. But, they're showing that the labor market isn't showing any signs of stress right now. Everything's good. But what they're not taking into account is that we're coming into Christmas. We're coming into the holiday seasons. This is when people go and get those seasonal jobs. They get those extra jobs. These companies are hiring to help, support their businesses so that they can take care of the influx of customers coming because everybody's buying gifts and things like that. So the jobless claims are not taking that into account. And what's going to happen is once they finally do even out and we kind of look back at this time, it's going to jump that number they're estimating by a little bit under 400,000 jobless claims. Okay, so it's going to bump that number up. So that's really, really scary. I mean, in this economy, I think the last thing that you want to do is get that notice that you are going to lose your job. If you have a job, just stick with it. I mean, even if you hate it, just stay where you're at unless you have another offer, and you're certain that you can just transition from one position to the next. Man, I would not be messing with that right now. I would just kind of be staying where I was. I would be the best worker that company had, because I just think that that's super, super important. I'm afraid that if you lose a job now, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult to find something comparable to what you had with the pay that you had. But anyways, guys, don't get distracted. Right now, it is super, super important that you start looking towards next year. Okay, you need to start looking at what worked for you this year on your property. What didn't work? Okay, what really took a ton of your time this year? What could you implement or get going now so that next year you don't have to worry about that and you can focus on other things? So Nate put in irrigation for me in our whole raised bed and in-ground garden this year. That saved me 4 hours a day from having to hand water because we get so hot here in the summer. You have to water every single day. So I was able to spend those 4 hours a day harvesting, taking care of the garden, and then preserving food up at the house. Because this year was our second year in this garden. And we had so much more food coming in this year because the first year when we came in, all of our soil was contaminated with herbicide. So our harvests were severely affected by that. But this year I had so much coming in. It would have been so much more overwhelming had he not had that irrigation in for me. So that was something that was super, super helpful and really really afforded me the ability to do so much more than I could have had I needed to be down here watering every day. We're also thinking about next year, what can we do to up our food production? So we have always thought about putting an orchard in up at the front of the property. We have a few acres up there. So Nate has plumbed all the irrigation for that, for new trees, but it's November already. I really needed to get my order in for fruit trees sooner than later, and I've kind of been slacking, and I need to really sit down and look at all that. So, and then of course, once those trees come in, we're gonna have to dig the holes, amend that soil, get those things planted. Right now in fall time is the best time to be planting your perennials and fruit trees, anything like that. And man, I mean, if you put the fruit trees off another season, that's just an additional season that you're not going to be able to harvest from them. When we moved into this property in 2021, we put in a bunch of peach trees and a bunch of pear trees and figs. And finally this year coming, praying that we don't have a hard frost really late, that's going to kill all my peach blossoms, but we should be able to harvest a good amount of fruit from those trees, which is amazing because I bring in bushels and bushels and bushels of peaches every year from a local orchard, and it costs me a lot of money. So up in our orchard, I want to get some apple trees, I want to get nectarines, I want to look and see if maybe we can do cherry trees. So those are all things on my mind. Also, right now, because we are into that fall and winter season, I'm having to run up and down from the garden, and I'm having to cover things at night, uncover them during the day because we're going to be 80 degrees today, and if I leave those items under those covers, they're going to fry. So that's a big time waster for me. Man, if we had a high tunnel, if we had a low tunnel, maybe if we just, constructed something ourselves with some, greenhouse fabric or something, that might afford me the ability to not to have to worry about my crops. And maybe I could even grow my peppers later into the season. Maybe I could have started another crop of tomatoes in August, and maybe I could have had those producing for me if I had a little bit of protection here in the Southeast. So those are all things that we're thinking about. High tunnels and low tunnels, those are high cost projects. So that's something that we're gonna have to think about, decide how big of a structure we might want. Where we buy that from. Are they going to have some good sales on Black Friday maybe? That might be a great time to buy it. And then where on the property are you going to put that? Do you want to put that right out your back door? Would that be aesthetically pleasing? No, maybe not. There might be a better place to put that. But I also don't want to put it 10 acres that way because I don't want to be running from this garden over to that high tunnel, and I don't have water access over there. So these are all things that we really need to be thinking of and planning for next year. My fall garden, I keep thinking, oh man, if I had just done that. But I'm too late this season to get that done now. So plan for it now. That way you have all of those ideas in your head, you get them down on paper, and you're ready when next season comes, and you can accomplish all of those goals that you've thought about all fall and winter and planned for. One thing too that can be really valuable for you, whether you're homesteading or not, is right now, because we are going into that holiday season, there should be some great deals on food. So I went to Aldi the other day and they had their corn and green beans, canned corn, canned green beans for 50 cents a can. Now it seems a little expensive because we're all used to like 30 cents a can, but they're running around 65 cents a can in my area. So 50 cents a can is fantastic. So I bought a few cases of those. Also, your baking supplies, they should be coming down in price with this time of the year. So your flour, your sugar, your butter. Butter's fantastic. You can just throw that in the freezer. I bought a year's worth of butter last year at Christmas time, and I am still pulling from that. So that is a great staple to put in your freezer. You buy that all for the year now so that you're not paying those inflated prices later. I think last year, I want to say butter came down to $2. Was it $2, or it might have even been $1.50? So I got all of that butter last year, and now I want to say butter is sitting around $3.50 up to $4 depending on where you are. So that's something to think about. And then one last thing, of course, grocery stores. I was wondering this year if they were going to have specials on turkeys for Thanksgiving. And Aldi's like $1.27. Walmart is the same price, but I found two local grocery stores here that are allowing you to purchase a turkey at 29 cents a pound as long as you spend $35 in additional items, which really, that's like what, 3 things right now? So that's not hard to do. You can pick up a few other staples and then get that turkey for 29 cents a pound. So if you can take a couple of those turkeys and throw them in your freezer for the year, if you don't have the freezer space, bring them home, defrost them, and you can cook them and then take those turkeys and you can can them. You can can just straight turkey meat in a broth. You can can it with potatoes to make a base for a meal. Gosh, you can do so much with that. And you know, I mean, 29 cents a pound for meat, that's hard to beat these days. Really hard to beat. So anyways, guys, I've got to get going on this garden. I need to clean up a few things down here. I need to you know, try to get rid of some of the frost damaged items. I need to pull some of my old bean plants that I kind of just left in. We had harvested everything off of those. And I need to just do a little cleaning up. So that's what I'm gonna do now. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Don't let the world distract you guys. Stay on track, especially right now with the holidays and those great deals on food coming up. So make sure that you are stocking your pantries. But thank you guys so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.